big old glass of it.
Mm.
And I've been
It
enjoying the show.
it might say coffee, but it is definitely Roulade.
Mine's
Woo!
close enough. Mine's close
Ex-
enough to rule it. It is it's red fruit punch flavored water, so
oh,
close enough.
nice.
It's Kool-Aid essentially.
Mine's
Before we get into Nebraska, I want to comment on USC real quick and
yeah,
Indiana. So
yeah. Go
USC,
for it. Bring it.
Texas absolutely slapped Michigan in the Big
Mm-hmm.
House. I think USC is going to do the same. I
I'm with
see.
you.
I've watched Michigan. They are not the same team they were last year. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
Orgy gives them a better chance to win. Maybe a better chance than the run pass option, but I just think Miller Moss. When I watched him in the bowl game last year, I said he's way better than Caleb Williams. I
Mm-hmm.
thought he was more accurate. I thought he had better ball control. Read defenses better. I think Miller Moss is going to go in there and tear that defense apart. I don't think Michigan. Honestly, I'm not that impressed with their offense or defense so far this year. So unless they make some major changes going against USC this
Mm-hmm.
weekend, I just think USC is going to go in there and honestly, I what was the over under? Was it 43 and a half? Yeah, I think that's going to be over. And I think USC wins that game, and I think they what was it, five? The spread was five for in
Yeah,
favor of
5.
USC. Yeah, I think it's all USC.
Well, I do want to caution everybody. The Texas Michigan game was 31-12, which is 43 points. And I would say Texas is one of the best offenses in the country. So
Interesting. Okay.
let's and Texas did score 24 in the first half, probably could have scored a little bit more.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly weren't taking their foot off the gas in the big house, only put up 7 in the second half.
Yeah.
That Michigan defense is legit. Now their offense will sputter. I think it still will sputter, but just throwing that out there for everybody.
Yep. And I'm not
Yeah, I
putting
mean
real
it could
money on
be.
it.
No.
It could be one of those things where the Michigan defense came out a little shell shocked because from everything I've heard, that Texas team is huge, just enormous.
Yep.
Looks like an NFL team right now. The guys that were there on the field were talking about, there's just a clear and obvious difference between Texas and Michigan. So that obvious huge offensive line, defensive line, I think is a little bit the same for USC, like you said.
Yep.
And that offensive line got destroyed by not only Texas but Fresno State.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to see what Michigan's offensive line can do against that USC defensive line because they're the real deal this year.
And I'm going to eat my own words because I'm like, oh, USC, they don't have a defense, and
Yeah,
they've
do.
impressed me so far, and I'm like, yeah, like we could probably beat USC, but now I'm like, ooh, like going to USC, that's going to be a hell of a game. So we'll see where we're at that point in the year. But
And I think they're probably saying the same thing to you.
yeah, exactly.
know?
I mean, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But they've had a hell of a start to the year. Their defense has been really impressive. So USC is a team I didn't see doing that well to start the season, but they're going to be a scary team in the Big Ten.
Oh, Andrew Anderson, we will be biased to the Big Ten, obviously. Because everyone in the SEC is ranked. Everyone.
Of course. In Indiana's another team that is impressive. Now, UCLA to me is not impressive. I think they should have lost to Hawaii. I mean, they're just UCLA is so far away from, I think, competing in the Big Ten. Might even be bottom of the Big Ten if you ask me.
Yeah.
So I think they have a long ways to go. But you got to give credit to Indiana where credit's due. Their offense is clicking. They're putting up a lot of points. They very well could be 6-0 going into Nebraska. Now, you talked about the bye games. Nebraska has a bye before Indiana, so you may have one of those teams mixed up. But Nebraska does have a bye before playing Indiana.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that brings
It'd
different.
be even more interesting if they had 3 in a row that had buys right before. Like
that would be crazy, but it is Nebraska does have a bye, so that would be interesting to see.
Honestly, that wouldn't be something you can complain about because they got a favor with their schedule. They got an absolute favor.
100%.
Maybe not from the Big Ten, but they play no one to start the season. And
Yes.
Andrew Anderson says the SEC is rigged. He is a Cox fan, so he is one of those guys that all the penalties that they committed weren't actually penalties. So throwing a ball in the opponent's face is not a penalty.
No,
And
never.
that block on the quarterback, I kind of understand that. I could see that going against any team in the Big Ten, and us all being mad about that because he didn't really. It wasn't a dirty shot. He didn't hit him hard. The quarterback just kind of flopped and pretended he was injured.
It happens.
Yeah, and it worked. So I'll give him that one. But
There
all
you
the
go.
rest of them, those were penalties, dude. So here we go. Let's get into that rule aid. Let's get this
Let's do
Oregon
it.
stuff off here because I am way off here. Let's get you going.
Hey, when
We
things are going
have-
well, you just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you just came in and you brought it. So let's bring it. We're talking
Let's go.
ranked on ranked. And speaking of being biased to the Big Ten, I am going to be a little biased because this is what happens in the Big Ten. You get a team playing good, they rank them 24. They rank them 22. So that when they play each other, one of those guys is dropping out, right? If you're
Exactly.
ranked 15, right now, Illinois would be ranked 15 if they were in the SEC. Nebraska would be ranked at least somewhere in the teens, right? If they were in the SEC with the schedule
Exactly.
that they've played. I'm
I
just saying
agree.
Illinois because they beat a ranked team and they should have shot up immediately, but they didn't. They waited till the next week and then shot them up.
And what's interesting is they waited till the next week after Kansas and lost again to UNLV.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
is a little
Which
interesting.
makes-
Now Kansas has 2 losses. So is that loss or is that win as good as it was in the beginning? So
Yeah. It doesn't seem as good now, and now they're ranked. For what reason? I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
It doesn't.
one of
It
these
doesn't.
teams is not going to be ranked following Friday night. Illinois,
Right.
number 24, against number 22, the Huskers. How excited are you, and what is the environment going to be like in Lincoln for this showdown?
So for me, the ranking doesn't mean a whole lot to me personally. It does, first time I think I heard someone say since 2010 it's been, maybe it was a Friday night game, whatever. But playing Illinois is one of those teams where you just never really know what they're going to bring to the table. They got Brett Bielema now, going in his 4th year. We beat them last year, Friday night, Champaign, 20-7.
And they only
And
ran
it's-
19 times against you last year.
Yep.
19
Yeah, and
times.
I believe the excitement level is huge. It's a 400 sellout, which everyone puts an
Yeah.
asterisk next to, and everyone knows it's the tickets. It's not people showing up. But I tell you what, those night games, every seat's taken at those night games.
Sure.
For
Are you
one,
going?
nah, I'm not going. Friday nights are tough, man, especially when you got kids.
Sure.
But under the lights, the light show for one thing is amazing. Night games there are amazing. All the tailgating, they shut down classes for Friday, so it's teachers have a few things to do, but no kids are going to classes. So there's going to be partying going on all day. The crowd's going to be crazy. And what's great is the Illinois fans that come are going to enjoy their time too, because we don't hate Illinois. So they're going to be able to come and enjoy their time with Husker fans and tailgate. And so I think the atmosphere is going to be wild.
Yeah.
And it just, the crowd there is always crazy. It's always fun. It's enjoyable. The crowd's been electric every game so far. And again, 4 home games in a row is kind of crazy too. So we get that. To me, that's an advantage going into our 4th home game, not having a road game yet. So I think the crowd's going to be electric. I think there's a lot of excitement just because, yes, it is 2 ranked teams, but the fact that Nebraska is finally winning, we haven't been 3-0 since 2016. That was Mike Riley's 2nd year. And I think we went 9-3 that year, and we had a very favorable schedule. We had a pretty good team. We all know what we did his 1st year and his 3rd year. But
I was going to say that 9-3 was from Pinelli.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, Pelini. So it's
Pelini, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So I think there's a lot of excitement because we are winning, and we're winning without having to really do anything in the second half so far. So that excitement alone, I think, gives people hope. But there's also a lot of reservation. We can't get too excited because we know as Husker fans what happens when we get too excited, then we lose. And so it's all superstition,
humble.
It's superstition, and I'm not one of those people. I go all in or all out, and I'm all in, man. I think I think I said it on one of your on a comment that I think we win by 2 scores, whether that's 10
Mhm.
or 13 or 14. I just think Nebraska's a better team than last year. We didn't have a great core. We had Heinrich Harburg when
Mhm.
the run game last year really helped us, but now we got a
Mhm.
run pass threat. Our defense is
Absolutely.
still, to me, one of the top 10 in the country.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think
And
the
they were last
quarterback.
year.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, we didn't lose anything. I think we are
Mhm.
maybe even better than last year. And I also don't think Illinois quarterback is going to be able to withstand the pressure that we're going to be able to put. We haven't done a lot of blitzing this year. Our
Mhm.
first 3 games, we're rushing 3, 4 guys. We're not bringing our
Yeah.
linebackers. We're not doing a safety or corner blitz. I think
I
once we
don't
start
think
bringing
you've
those
had a
blitz
lot of sacks
packages,
though.
and that's
Pressures,
why
but not a lot of sacks.
a
Yeah.
lot of pressure from our 3, 4 main rushes. So
Mhm.
once we start getting those blitzes going, which I assume we're going to do against Illinois, I think we're going to
Dial it
be
up.
big time trouble in the backfield. And we had six
Yeah.
sacks against Colorado. And again,
Yeah.
that was a lot of 3, 4 man rushes without the line. And again, not a lot of blitzes in that game either. It was just our guys outpowered that offensive line.
Well, to be honest with you, it is an offensive line at Colorado where they just give sacks
Yes,
away like it's candy.
they do. They do. They don't like to protect
Not so
Shador.
much this year, not as much this year, but
Yes.
last year that was all that Sador could handle. I mean, and
We got
he,
7 on him last year and 5 on Shador this year, 1 on the backup.
wow,
So yeah,
wow.
I think our defensive line is, we got a lot of returning guys,
Mm-hmm.
as I believe Steve said. So our returning defense, or Shannon, sorry, our returning defense is just stout, and our defensive line is ready
Absolutely.
to just absolutely pound cement with these guys.
Yeah, and
So,
the defense looked elite so far,
mhm.
particularly the run defense. And some are going to complain about the competition. And to be fair, that's true. I mean,
Yeah,
Colorado doesn't exactly open up holes like there's some man with a magnum on.
no,
They
no,
they were playing, and the rest were UTEP and Northern Iowa. So
yep,
honestly, we don't really know exactly what they can do, but they were good last year, like you said, top 10 in the nation
yep,
in almost every category. And but how does this defense match up against Illinois? Brett Bielema is known to have those big hogs up front, like he
yep.
did at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yep,
I In Illinois, he's starting to do it, but I think it's a little harder to do. They have a huge running back in Caden Fagan,
yep.
6'3", 250 pounds. He's had 3 touchdowns on the year, but only really had 173 yards on the season. The dude sounds scary when you look at his like measurables, but the
Hmm.
production's just really not there. But what has been there more is Luke Altmaier, 69% passer, 6 touchdowns, no
Yep.
interception, and he's going to have to be the man that beats you. And his main man, Pat Bryant, snagged 4 of those 6 touchdowns from Luke Altmaier. So they're going to have to do it in the passing game. Now, where does Nebraska stack up in their DBs in the passing game, their passing defense?
I mean, I think we got one of the best DBs in the country in Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and
Tommy,
Tommy Hill, and I
Tommy
think
with an
that
eye.
Tommy with an eye, and I think that's
That's a big
they're
thing in Nebraska country. You got to get the eyes right with Tommy's.
they're gonna stay away from him.
Yeah.
You know, I think Travis Hunter had 110 yards, 10 catches,
Mm-hmm.
and again,
Tommy had
he
that pick
talked a
six.
he yeah, and so but he did that against Nebraska, and it's like, yeah, that's great, but we held you to no touchdowns, and
Mm-hmm.
congratulations on 110 yards, and
Mm-hmm.
for being touted as one of the best wide receivers in the country, Tommy shut him down, and I had a feeling that was going to happen, but I also think we have other guys that are going to step up and do a lot of work, and um, again, our defense, I think our linebackers are going to be able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and that's where Altmaier, I think, is going to. My hope is that's where he's going to struggle, is with the pressure coming at him,
Mm-hmm.
and us getting to
Yeah.
him. But we got to get him early. We can't wait. We're going to have to start getting him early because, yeah, he can throw the ball. I'm not too worried about the run game like I am against most teams, but you do a quick slant against most teams, that's pretty hard to cover, and it's the yards after
Mm-hmm.
catch, and we got to tackle well. A lot of people weren't happy the way we tackled against Northern Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
In the first half, we let them, 16 plays going downfield. We held them to a field goal, which is great for our defense, but we got to tackle early. We got to tackle often, and make sure that they're not getting away from us. So I think tackling has probably been the thing we worked on probably most this week.
And Illinois has actually been good defensively. They're giving up
Hmm.
277 yards per game, while Nebraska 255. It could
Yep.
end up being a little bit of a defensive battle. Nebraska's scoring 34 points per game, fourth in the Big Ten. Illinois is sixth at 32 points per game. We talked about Altmaier, what he can do. In a big game like this, ranked on ranked, or really just any game, really, turnover is the great equalizer. Illinois has a ball hawking defense. They're +8 in the turnover margin. 6 picks, 3 interceptions. Now, this is the turnaround for Nebraska, +3. And I got to give them a round of applause because of last year. It was just atrocious, the turnover margin. They were, I want to say they were -17 in turnover ratio, which, what a turnaround. They had 15 fumbles lost and nine interceptions, I believe, something along that.
I think in our first 2 games between Colorado and Minnesota, both those games we had 5 turnovers, if I believe.
There were 7 in the first 3 games. I remember that.
Yeah, and I remember like we had the amount of fumbles. Just again, I think Jeff Sims could have had a NIL deal with Butterfinger.
I think that was Sims that had 7 turnovers.
He alone probably had 7.
Games.
Yeah, I mean Butterfingers. I mean just. Yeah, so I think Dylan Raiola is a game changer for us.
He has 1 interception on the year?
Yeah, and that was, it was a battle between 2 guys, and really our receiver should have bowled that ball in. There's no reason you let the guy pull it away from you when you're going down to the ground, and they both had it, and our guy just wasn't strong enough, really.
Sorry, we all our comments just suddenly populated, so I'm going to try to pull them up here. We got Brandon Snyder saying fight on. And I don't know why it took that long for them to pop up, but they said, "Hey, you beastly man, Alex Bryan."
Love it.
Alex Bryan, he is part of the Buckeye Bros podcast.
Nice.
And I put the same one up there again, so let me get to these real quick. Indiana is a lot better than I thought, Alex Bryan. Yeah, they are.
100%.
I mean, 3-0 for Indiana is always a good time. The team has looked motivated in a way I've never seen them. Absolutely. They're doing all the little things right. The blocking downfield, just the motivation to succeed, the wide receivers blocking, the ball tackling, everyone getting to the ball. It's just impressive. They got a workman style defense team. They're taking over that blue collar Kurt Cignetti type feeling.
And I think that's one thing that is really hard that I think every team needs to take away from as a coach is if you can teach your receivers to block, holy cow, they can block downfield. That's a game changer for any team. You talk about your swing passes, your tight end passes, your tight ends got to be able to block too. Holy cow. But I've seen it a couple times this year with Nebraska where their receivers aren't blocking very well. And so instead of getting, 7, 8, 9 yards, we're getting 2, 3 yards. And so, they let off a block early. Are they afraid to hold? But that's one thing.
Or, I was going to say, in Colorado's second half, it was they were holding instead.
Yeah, well, shoot, and that's the amount of penalties that they didn't call in that game that they could have is absolutely out the wall. But that's big. I mean, you got to be able to block downfield. I think that's for both these teams, for Nebraska and Illinois, going to this game. You're talking about some of the passing game. If we can get our receivers and tight ends, same thing with Illinois. If they're blocking downfield and doing a good job of pushing down, getting those linebackers out of the way as well, it's going to take linemen and the rest of the team to get that done in the run game and the pass game.
And Alex Bryan says, please beat Michigan, Indiana. And I actually think that is, as crazy as it sounds, that's a possibility with the way these two teams are playing right now. And it would give him more to laugh about if they could do that. But 28.5 is easy work since I saw Indiana score 77 for the first time ever. That was a little crazy, but you got to realize that was against Western Illinois. They were 0-25 and then became 0-26 in their last 26 games. So not really much to write home about there.
No.
Let's go big, Adam Hicks. All right. Now I think we got through all of them. Sorry about that. Just had to
that's all right.
Get through those real quick. Give everyone some love. So let's get into this. Where do you think Nebraska attacks Illinois?
I think we're going to utilize as much as possible 2 guys that we've seen early on, 2 freshmen on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Ja'Cory Barney and Carter Nelson.
Okay.
Those 2 guys early on, extremely impressive, a lot of speed. So Carter Nelson comes in as a Nebraska kid coming as a tight end. They moved to a wide receiver because we have Thomas Fedoni from Iowa, who not from the state of Iowa, not from the team, but as our lead tight end, and Borkature as our second tight end. So Nelson moves the wide receiver early on. He's been impressive, a lot of speed, great hands. Ja'Cory Barney, same thing. This dude is flying when he catches the ball and giving us just another depth of offense that a lot of people probably didn't see coming this year, because we knew Ja'Cory Barney, heard a lot of him in the offseason, but thinking, he's probably going to redshirt. This guy's probably going to play all year. He's not going to play 4 games. He's going to play all year. Same with Carter Nelson. So those two guys, I think, are going to really surprise. But I think our run game has to be dynamic. We saw Heinrich Harper get in the game against Northern Iowa, do some kind of fun plays with him. If we can do get 2 quarterbacks in the game at the same time, and Harburg's throwing the ball a lot better. He's 8 for 8 so far this year. Again, not a lot of yards, but that's still impressive, and he can still run the ball and run guys over. So you get him in the slot as a receiver, doing some fun things with him. Illinois has got a lot to prepare for because of that dynamic, and it's not just Banks and Lloyd and Isaiah Nair you got to prepare for in the pass game. Now you got to prepare for Harburg, Barney, Nelson, and then our 2 tight ends. So it's a dynamic offense with a quarterback that can outpass. Last year we didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball. We do this year. So Bielema has got his hands full. But again, Illinois is a better team as well. So we also have our hands full in Nebraska and make sure we prepare well for both the run and the pass game. But like you said, I think Illinois, our defensive side of the ball, keys of the game there, attack, get pressured, get sacks. If we can do that, get Altmaier out of the pocket, I think that increases our chances to, again, win that turnover battle and come out on top. Again, my prediction still stands with 2 scores.
I think Altmaier was sacked a lot last year, and he didn't do well under pressure, if I remember correctly, from 2023. Yeah. So if you can get after him, that is a huge key to the game. Yeah. So Vegas, bring it on in, man. Give me those betting numbers.
Yeah, so y'all know that we like to bet on the games that we talk about here, but I'll say right up front, I would absolutely not touch any aspect of this game from a betting perspective.
Yep.
And I'll go into that a little bit more, but let's talk about the numbers to start. So the line started at -8.5 in favor of Nebraska. You've seen that drop slightly just to -8. Over under started at 43.5. You've seen that just drop to 43. But getting into the money and the flow of it, you're seeing about 53% of the cash going to Nebraska on that spread, which is basically a coin toss. You're seeing the over-under at 50-50 in terms of money. So you're not really seeing the betting public, the sharps, or anybody give you any sense or feel on this. And I think when you've broken down the teams and the schedules and everything, both have a middle-of-the-road Big 12 team that they beat. Both have a couple other games, that's fine. If you really break down kind of the team stats, nothing that's really showing up or showing out. I definitely think Nebraska wins this game just because they're at home, and I think they have a little bit of better quarterback play and better coach, and those are what I lean on in games I'm not sure of. However, a 7-point win against Illinois, good win, doesn't cover the spread. So I do think Nebraska wins. If you want to bet this game and be ultra safe, I take the Cornhuskers on the money line, although you're not going to get much action there. So because Beeb makes me pick every game, I'm actually going to go with the under. How about you?
Give me those stats again. What's the over-under?
43.
I guess I could look up the spreadsheet, but what?
No, 43 is the over-under, and Nebraska's sitting at -8 right now.
43, the over-under, -8. You have a prediction, Matt?
I said under. Oh, yeah.
No, the other Matt.
Yeah, that's right. I think my prediction was like 31-14, 31-17. So I got the over. Again, I'm not a betting man with money, so I got the over, and with it being a two-score game, I got Nebraska on points. So that's the way I flow, and that's the roulette kicking in. So
8. That's a tough one for me. And 43, you said.
43, yep.
I had to make this pick right because I need to bring stuff back. All right. I'm down. I'm down big on the year. I'm getting better. I'm not down as much as I was week 1, but
it's early.
Let's see.
I mean, that Colorado game was 28-10, right? Favor of the Huskers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois, Kansas, 23-17. So you're seeing, and again, I'm not going to put Kansas and Colorado in this elite category or anything, but middle of the road Big 12 teams. you're seeing the Big Ten teams win, but not putting up a lot of points and not doing a ton. So
they're each averaging about 30 some low 30s a game.
34, 32, yeah.
Yeah, so
but they each have an FCS school that they've played. So you kind of got to take that with a grain of salt.
Sure. Where's the money going?
53% of the cash going to Nebraska, over under 50-50. I have not seen a money flow this tight in a long time around a game. That is very tight.
I think it's because you don't really know a whole lot about either team yet. It's just so hard. It's so hard. We haven't really played a second half. I mean, we haven't had to, which rule says, it's okay to be boring.
Who was it that Kansas got beat to last
year? UNLV.
Which we are going to talk about later, Beeve.
Yeah.
So, not as bad as they sound.
A good team.
My brother-in-law's a KU fan. It cracks me up. I was with him when they lost. He was so mad.
He'll be happy in March. Don't worry about
it.
He will.
I'm gonna go with the over.
All right.
Okay.
Got you down.
Well, Matt.
Yes.
Two Average Guys podcast. Everyone go check it out, man.
Let's go.
You guys have been having some fun. 10-year anniversary, huh?
10 years, yep. 10 years this year, 10th football season. So, we've been through only one winning season. So we need another one. We need another one.
It's time. It is time to pick
we
it
need
up.
We need a bowl game. We need a winning season. Let's get both those this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're almost halfway there, right?
I think they'll get it this year. I think, looking at the schedule, I do think 7-0 is still a possibility, but the team that scares me probably more than anything right now used to be Rutgers. It's probably Indiana now.
Mm-hmm. It would be easy to have a letdown with Indiana. Well, guess what? Boom.
There you go.
We had them 10-2 to start the season. We were drinking that Rule-8 early and often.
Yes, sir.
We got wins to UTEP. We got wins to Colorado. We got wins to Northern Illinois. We got a win against Iowa. So maybe I should have just taken my first instinct. We got
Illinois
with Purdue. Illinois.
Yep.
And Rutgers. Indiana. That's the trick one, man.
It is.
Now that looks like iffy. And then the loss to Ohio State, the loss to USC, which was probably good, the win at UCLA, and then closing the season off with 2 wins. So
now Wisconsin and Iowa are just, again, two teams that Iowa still has the same troubles they've had forever. I also think their DBs are not as strong as they have been in the past. And so, again, I think Iowa at Kinnick, we beat them at Kinnick 2 years ago, night game.
Yeah.
Or no, day game, sorry. We'll play them at Kinnick again this year. Wisconsin, I'm more confident now in Wisconsin, but I still think both those games are a toss-up. We could go 1-1. We could go 2-0. I don't think we're going to lose both those, though. So, I think I was 8-4, 9-3. Usually I'm like 11-1, but, those USC and Ohio State games both being away are going to be really tough games. But, again, I'd be happy with 8-4. I'd over the hill if we go 8-4 this year.
Well, yeah, if you guys win and you really want to get on and brag about it, you want to wake up early on a Sunday morning, we do an 8 a.m. morning after show. If you're really interested, if you're really excited and want to get up that early, we'll be here.
For which game?
Every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. We're on. Yeah.
Okay.
So because our host, who can't be here obviously on Thursday nights because he is overseas, so it's 14 hours different. So that was the only time we could really get together. So we do the morning after pill and bring it to you.
There you go. Sounds fantastic. Well, yeah, if I can ever get on one of those, I will. But I'm excited about this season. I'm excited about Friday night. And then Saturday, I just get to chill and watch all the games on Saturday. So
that's true. You don't have to worry about your game. You can just catch everything.
And hopefully it's a happy weekend and we get a W on Friday night.
Absolutely.
So
we'll go Big Red, baby.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. And go Big Red all day.
Hopefully we have you on again soon. All right.
Yeah, we'll get you on our show too.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, guys. Take care.